This podcast is for plumbers by plumbers. My name is Rudy Uribe Jr., and I'm fortunate to be the Director of Talent Acquisition and Self-Help Trainer for Rooter Hero Plumbing. All of my podcasts are less than 5 minutes and hopefully bring home a point that can help you improve your life. Personally, I'm a big believer in karma. What goes around comes around, the good and the bad. So let's avoid the bad and start shooting for the good. And today's podcast is titled Awareness or Bad Habits. It could be a couple of things. And I've got CEO of Rooter Hero Plumbing with me, John Okoyan. John, I saw you in the hallway today and noticed that you had a rubber band on your wrist, which is something I never see you wear. And I asked you what that was about, and it was interesting. So you want to share with us?
The rubber band. Thank you, Rudy. The rubber band is actually here for me to snap it against my wrist every once in a while. And the reason I do that is because I've been caught recently just kind of having some stinking thinking. And every time I think some bad thoughts, I snap the rubber band. On top of the stinking thinking, I've also had some self-talk, that wasn't good. So every time I have those negative thoughts or the negative self-talk, and I snap the rubber band to snap me out of it.
Oh.
And it's a great reminder.
So it's working?
It's working, and it also hurts. So I don't like the pain. So it's a reminder that I need to start thinking well and have the positive thoughts instead of the negative.
Okay, well, here's the interesting thing to me, the fact that you're even aware of it. Sometimes we can get caught up with the stinking thinking that you're talking about. It could go on for days or months, and you're not even aware that you're doing it. So where did this awareness come from, or what caused you to realize you were doing that?
Well, I don't know where the awareness came from, but I do realize that the awareness recently came through me just kind of taking the time in the mornings to start writing my gratitudes and thinking about kind of what's happening. Mm-hmm. And it just dawned on me that this was an old thing that I used to do, and it all came from some self-help that I probably had with the rubber band, and I used it before, and sometimes you just kind of fall into a state of mind that you get back into some old bad habits, and being able to get out of the old bad habits is the most important thing. We all fall in there, but we have to be able to climb out.
Yeah, well, and being aware of it, I think, is a big part of that. A lot of our habits are shaped from childhood. What about you? Did you experience anything like that?
Yeah, I came from a rough childhood. I'm the second boy in our family, and when I think about kind of, what my rough childhood was, it was actually part of, my dad's rough childhood as well. I was thinking about that this morning. My dad was a great dad, but he had some habits that he picked up. And I remember being very young, 8, 9, 10 years old. I was actually making choices about, hey, when I get married, I'm not going to treat my wife the way, a few things that my dad was doing with my mom, right? But there was other things that he was doing that was great. But, being young, I just, am living a lot of my childhood through remembering, my adulthood, through remembering what happened in my childhood, and making a distinction between what's good and what's bad, and deciding what I'm going to take back with me into the future and what I'm going to leave behind.
You were telling me a story about pennies.
Yeah, every morning you start out with 5 pennies in your right pocket, and the goal is to move each penny to the left pocket. And the way you move the penny is by complimenting somebody for doing a good job. So every time you give somebody a positive reinforcement or a compliment, you move a penny from the right to the left. The goal is to have all 5 pennies in the left pocket before you go to bed.
And at the end of the day, there's an accounting to be done, right?
Yeah. Well, when you're when they're all in the right pocket still, then you got some work to do before you go to bed.
Right.
And I've ended up forgetting and having them all in the right pocket, and having to send some text messages and some gratitudes.
We've been chatting with John Okoyan, the CEO of Rooter Hero Plumbing. I'm Rudy Uribe Jr. Thank you for listening.